Oh, hello, this is Ian, and so in this video, I'm going to talk about do schools in do schools abroad offer much training? If you want to teach English abroad, will schools abroad offer much training, or what sort of training will they offer? So I'm just out here for a walk, and I just found this campfire actually. So it's kind of nice. So I decided to make this video. I had made it the other day, but it was very shaky. So, and I was out here. What was I looking for? I was looking for this. This is horsetail, and it's like, if you didn't know, it's high in silica, which is good for helps your body produce collagen. It can be good for like your joints, your ligaments, your skin, hair, and bones. So anyway, so the question is, do schools abroad offer much training? So I got the idea for this video because I saw some comment on Reddit. Someone had asked a question about teaching in Korea and something about what are the habits of management that you don't like or something like that. And one of the most popular comments, it got 33 upvotes. The very first part of their comment says they provide zero training and da 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 da. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to do a written version of this as well, and you can check that out on my blog. And you can also, if you're an experienced teacher, you can also share your experience in the comments, whether your school or not offered any sort of training, and if they did offer any training, like how much training they offer or what did they actually do. So, so I'd say first off, it depends on the school. In my experience, I'd say for the most part, most schools don't, and if they do offer training, it's very minimal. Depends on the, I've taught in China, Korea, and Taiwan, and it depends on the school. But I would say, yeah, most of the time you're not going to get very much training. Most of the time you're probably going to get like a day or something, of like a day or so, like watching other teachers. And watching other teachers is actually the best way to learn. However, it depends on the teacher, like if they're a newish teacher or just, I don't really care kind of teacher, then you're not going to learn that much, and you might pick up some bad habits too. So yeah, it depends. So my first experience, I'll tell you my first experience, the first school that I worked in. So I started in Taiwan, and um I started off as a substitute teacher working in a bunch of different schools, kind of part time. And then I found a school that was going to give me an ARC so I could stay and live in Taiwan. And I was going to work like 12 or 14 hours a week. So what I started off doing is I watched like each teacher in the school. There was 3 foreign teachers. When I say each teacher, I mean foreign teachers. There were 3 other foreign teachers, and I sat in on, I don't know if many or just one. It was a long time ago. I started in 2004, so that was like, yeah, a long time ago. And I watched them, and I picked up a few ideas from them. Like I can remember off the top of my head one game that I learned. That was, it's a pretty quick, efficient game. Paper, scissors, stone. I actually made a video of that. It's on this channel or on ESL Insider, and it's very simple, and it works pretty good for teaching sentences and Q&A and stuff. Anyways, but so those are 3 different teachers there, and different teaching styles, and I learned much from them. Like I just said, I remember that one. I could have picked up a few bits and pieces. And then not so much. So I worked in that school for a year, and then my second like contracted job in Taiwan, I worked at a different kind of that school. The one in Taichung, which was like it was a bushiban, which is like a private language academy, if you want to say. There's many of them in Asia. If you teach in Asia, chances are you'll teach either in a regular public school or in a private language institute, which is like, yeah, in Taiwan they're called bushibans. Korea, hagwons, Japan, Ikewa, and China training centers. So the second school I worked in, yeah, the first one was a lot more like a chain style school. The second one was like is a small private owned bushiban. Like I knew the woman who owned it also taught in it. There was like another foreign teacher. Only two teachers total there. I had replaced one who got in a scooter accident. In her, she had more of a program. She had better materials than the first school. The first school I taught in was called Gaojie, Gau Jie, and then I don't know what it was, American School or Language Institute or something like that, chain school. And this one was called Happy House, and it's no longer exists because she sold it. But she had better materials. She offered a little bit more teaching. Another thing that's common in China and Taiwan is that schools will want to sit in on your class. Um, like a manager is going to watch you or something like that. You might do a demo teach, like if you want a job and you're there applying for a job, you might have to do that. It's not very comfortable. Um, what else? She had more of a strict program. Like you had a workbook, you had a student book, and then there were like uh, cassette tapes you had to play back, which are always a super pain to like lesson plan for, because you'd have a few different classes using the same books and the same tapes, so you'd always have to like rewind them, fast forward them, try to find the same spot. Big headache. But that was a cassette, so that's like a bit outdated. Now you're gonna be using like CDs and stuff, and the more recent books, anyways, editions have CDs. She didn't offer so much like training, I don't think, but she kind of provided more of a structure and better materials to work with in the first school. Um, and then I went to Korea like a year later after Taiwan or something like that. And the first school I worked in, they might have like provided like a day where I watched another teacher or a class or so. At that point, I was getting a little more confident though in my teaching, and that was it. And then like after I finished that contract, I kind of just hung out in Korea and worked some part-time jobs here and there. And yeah, I remember one time I think I took over. I had a job for about a month, and I remember in one school, the school wanted me to watch another teacher, but the other teacher was actually he'd only been teaching for like a few months or something, so it was kind of like, you want me to watch him? Okay, and like I had quite a bit more experience than him, not like boasting or whatever. Um, but yeah, and then okay, so the next contracted job I had was in a public school in Korea, and it wasn't through Epic. There's different programs you can do, but Epic's kind of the popular one. And I don't remember any sort of training whatsoever. And I've heard other people who worked for Epic or whatever, and they say you get some week of orientation or something, but it's really not that much, as I've heard. People have left reviews of my course on my site and mentioned that in there. So, um, yeah, I don't know. So, long story short, I think most of the time, well, it depends on the school. You could find a school that's going to provide you with some, but I would go in expecting, read that quote, and 33 people upvoted it, which means they basically agreed with it. And he said most schools provide zero training, so I wouldn't expect much at all. So it's kind of like on you to do the training. You could take, different ways to learn. You could take a couple courses. You could read books. You could watch YouTube videos. Watching other teachers is the best way to learn, if you ask me. You can sit on other teachers' classes when you get there. Yeah, different research you can join. There's like groups or When I was in Korea, for example, I was a member of Co-TESOL, and they'd have like workshops, and you can go and sit in. And some teachers would like demonstrate how to do certain activities and whatnot. So yeah, it's kind of on you. Oh, and so the other thing is another thing you're going to read and come across with, and you're going to learn partially too, perhaps, is I think it's part of myth and it's part truth. Like some people are going to say, you don't learn by taking a course. You only learn. Well, it depends on the course you take. Um, you only learn by doing it. And I would say, kinda. It's just like you're not gonna like go in there and all of a sudden learn how to teach English just by being in a classroom, and having a book of content to turn. You're not gonna, not effectively anyways. Like you need to like know what to do when you're in the classroom. So you need to have a plan in advance, and you need to learn a lot of different activities and a lot of different tools and how to manage your students. And that's all like those aren't simple things. That's a lot of different concepts and activities, and then to really learn them and just know them without having to look it up, like to become ingrained. Like yeah, it takes a lot of time. So and then by teaching though, you're gonna learn like kind of what works and what doesn't work, and you get feedback from your students. And when I say feedback, I don't mean like your students probably aren't going to tell you what they think of you. That's very unlikely. Definitely not to your face. They could tell someone else, and then someone else tells you. I mean, that's just kind of East Asian culture. Um, but they're gonna like, there's like feedback can come in a different way. Like they could yawn, and if they're yawning, you know that they're bored. So that means there's probably something with your teaching that's not very entertaining or captivating for them. So that's something you need to change, or something with your lesson or how you're doing something, what you're doing. And then, like, they could be causing problems. They could be really loud or out of control. And then, well, that could also be, again, like what I just said, or it could be you lack kind of a structure or discipline sort of system for classroom management. So you can kind of get feedback from your student that way. Um, yeah, so I'd go in there thinking you're not gonna get much, and early on I would apply myself. Now there's this better like the internet and whatnot. There's more resources and tools out there for you to learn. Like back when I started, like websites were like, um, yeah, I had a hard time learning in the beginning. Like I did take a course before I went, but was it very helpful? No, it wasn't. Um, it wasn't very practical, and I don't know the few activities I learned in it. The course, two that I can think of off my head, were kind of like niche activities. Like in my experience, you need to learn like a set. For example, you need to learn vocabulary activities, sentence and Q&A activities, and those are like the two basic, like most used kind of activities, most practical ones you can have for teaching like children. And I mean, if you're teaching like adults and more advanced students, then you're going to be teaching more than just vocabulary and sentences, Q&A. And even if you teach kids, you'll teach, you might also teach songs and stuff. But I'm just saying, like vocabulary, sentences, Q&A. These are the pretty basic, like level, and you need to learn a lot of activities for that. And you need to learn how to juggle your students, manage them, and whatnot. So yeah, apply yourself early on. Don't expect much. And you teachers out there that, as I said before, who have experience, you can share in the comments what sort of training you got from schools early on. And on ESL Insider, the site I've created, you can find a whole lot of how-to videos that will help you teach. There's courses now, and I built these courses based on the troubles, like the difficulties I had teaching. And teaching's tough. And as I said before, like watching other teachers is the easiest way to learn. So I made all these videos and I put them into the course, little bite-sized videos filmed in classrooms showing you what to do. So it's sort of like activity-based learning. And yeah, so, and the courses, one of the courses anyways goes pretty deep in regards to, yeah, teaching and classroom management and all that. So anyways, thank you very much for watching, and this is Ian saying so long.